Are you ready to become a change maker? Our 48-week postgraduate program in public policy or the PGP may be just the thing for you. This hybrid program is designed to give you both the theoretical foundation and hands-on experience needed to excel in policy making. With a mix of expert-led webinars, in-person workshops, and policy simulation exercises, you'll gain real-world skills along with personalized mentorship. Through our policy programs, we connect good people to good ideas and good networks. Apply now at the link in the description to make an impact.
Welcome to All Things Policy, a daily podcast by the Takshashila Institution. We are a bunch of policy nerds based in Bengaluru, and we like bringing fresh perspectives to Indian affairs and Indian perspectives to global affairs. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and join us for today's chat.
Welcome to All Things Policy, Takshashila's daily public policy podcast where we dive deep into policy, economy, and everything that shapes our world. I'm Aparna Rajesh, a member of the policy school team, and today, along with my colleague Maya, we're looking at a major shift in agricultural policy in Goa. But before we move ahead, hi Maya, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Aparna. I'm really happy to be joining you today for this conversation. I'm an assistant program manager here at the Takshashila Institution. And yes, I'm really looking forward to getting into it today with you.
So, coming to the topic, a couple of days ago, the state of Goa launched its Goa State Amrit Kaal Agricultural Policy for 2025, a policy that aims to rejuvenate the state's agricultural sector. So, key highlights include the adoption of climate resilient techniques like hydroponics, vertical farming, and the introduction of new cash crops such as avocado and rambutan. So, it also addresses farmer welfare by creating a farmer welfare fund board and implementing reforms to improve market access, credit, and insurance systems. So, additionally, the policy also aims to protect Goa's agricultural heritage through the revival of Kazan lands and imposes strict checks on land misuse. So the thing that interests me the most about the policy is that it's designed as a something that aims to make farming a more sustainable, profitable, and future-ready profession in Goa, ultimately contributing to rural development and economic diversification. But what's most interesting about the policy is that it goes beyond just farming. So the policy integrates agro-tourism by allowing farmers with a minimum of 4,000 square meter of land to participate in and develop agri-tourism ventures. So think offering farm stays, tours, or experiences that allow visitors to learn about farming and agriculture. So, Goa, a state that's majorly known for its tourism, is now attempting to kind of bridge the gap between agriculture and tourism in a very interesting cross section. So, what's intriguing is that this isn't an isolated incident. So, places across the globe are shifting their focus towards agricultural tourism in a move that's aiming to reshape rural economies and redefine the way we interact with agriculture. So, for Goa, this could be an opportunity to capitalize on its tourism infrastructure, while also offering a diverse and a much more sustainable tourism experience.
That's right, Aparna. And thanks so much for setting a little bit of that context for us. So agri-tourism is really more than just a trend. It's a global movement that merges farming with tourism to create economic opportunities. But what exactly does this mean for a state like Goa, and how does this compare with other states in India? And really, what can we learn from looking at global case studies? That's what we're unpacking today, all while focusing on Goa's unique agricultural context.
So to begin, I let me just go back to Goa's agricultural policy. So, as a state, the government has introduced a new framework that aims at promoting agri-tourism, recognizing it as a viable alternative revenue source for farmers. So, this initiative kind of encourages the local farmers to open their doors to tourists. So, help them in offering immersive experiences in rural life. So this is especially significant given the state's reliance on tourism. It's no shocker that agri-tourism could provide both an economic uplift for farmers and also offer a sustainable alternative to traditional farming practices that are becoming less viable due to many reasons, be it climate change or urbanization.
Right. And this isn't just about showcasing scenic farms. It's about creating a whole entire ecosystem where visitors can participate in farming activities, enjoy organic farm to table experiences, and even stay in rural homestays. For Goa, integrating agri-tourism into its tourism-heavy economy could provide a new revenue stream and preserve its agricultural heritage, aligning perfectly with the state's aim of creating a more sustainable, resilient agricultural sector. So this definitely seems like a win-win scenario. Aparna, I just wanted to ask you if you could sort of break down what exactly agri-tourism is for us and for some of our listeners today.
Perfect. Let's just to take it from the beginning, like about agri-tourism. In simple term, it's just a form of tourism where visitors get hands-on experience with agriculture. So this can be something like milking cows or picking fresh produce or learning about age-old farming techniques directly from local farmers. So for a state like Goa, this could be a way to highlight the state's unique agricultural practices, like its spice plantations or coconut farming. So this could be the way to take things like this, which are very niche to Goa, to a global audience. So it's a chance for tourists to connect with the local culture and environment in a way that goes beyond just, let's say, nightlife and just the general things that we know about Goa. I hope that provides you with an overview of what agricultural tourism essentially means.
Yes, definitely. And I just wanted to add to what you've already laid down that it's so much more than just farming. It's really a full immersion into rural life. It's about connecting with land, the food, the crafts, and even the traditions of the community. For regions like Goa, especially, which have such a rich agricultural heritage, this model really provides visitors with a chance to experience the local way of life, from farm to table meals to traditional performances and craft making. And this could not only benefit farmers, but also contribute to Goa's broader tourism ecosystem by attracting more diverse types of tourists seeking authentic, off the beaten path experiences.
Exactly. That's what's very interesting about agri-tourism. It's something that's been done for quite a lot of time now, and it's something that's not even a new concept to India. Several states have already adopted it with a really good success rate. So I can give you a few examples. Maybe, Maya, you could tell more about what Maharashtra is doing in that space.
Yes, definitely. So, Maharashtra, for instance, has been at the forefront of agri-tourism, with the Agri-Tourism Development Corporation, or the ATDC, playing a pioneering role in the sector. Since its inception in 2005, ATDC has developed structured programs that enable tourists to visit farms, experience rural life, and stay with farming families, like we had discussed before. And these initiatives essentially offer visitors the opportunity to engage in a wide range of activities. This could look like anything from participating in farming tasks like harvesting and tilling the soil to really get in touch with the land and have that rural experience, as well as taking bullock cart rides, kite flying, and taking visits to local factories like sugar and cashew processing units. For Goa, this specific kind of model could definitely work, especially with its strong tourist appeal. Goa could develop similar programs that highlight its distinctive farming practices, such as spice cultivation, toddy tapping, and cashew processing, offering visitors, tourists, a chance to engage with the culture in a very hands on way.
I think that's very interesting because while this is being done by the government, simultaneously on the private front or on the non-profit front, there's things like ROSE, that is Rural Opportunity for Social Elevation, that's happening in Uttarakhand. So it's an initiative which essentially integrates social work with agricultural tourism. So visitors don't just observe, they actively participate in farming, infrastructure development, and even community teaching. So this initiative, it's based in the Kumaon Hills, and they offer homestays among wheat fields. So essentially, the people who get to participate see stunning mountain views. So they get a hands on experience of the place. Along with that, they also engage in activities like harvesting crops alongside local farmers. They help build a couple of new infrastructures, such as rooms and toilets for the local community. They also even teach English to village children and participate in other daily cooking activities. So for Goa, this presents an opportunity to expand agri-tourism by incorporating community-driven initiatives that focus on both agricultural and socio-cultural engagement activities, thus making it a more holistic rural development model. So another example that comes to mind is what's happening in Gujarat with the Shamhi Sarhad project. So the Shami Sarhad village is in the Hadka village of Gujarat. So it's a resort essentially. It's owned and operated by the village tourism committee of the local community. So it basically integrates traditional desert agriculture with tourism. So the guests get a chance to engage with the local culture and economy. So extrapolating this to Goa, Goa could draw inspiration from such activities that are already existing to make agri-tourism a communal and economically more sustainable activity. So now when these are the things that are happening across the state of India, but I think it's kind of important to see how things are now pointing towards policy. So, what are the implications of agri-tourism for Goa? At its core, it presents an opportunity to diversify farmers' income streams, reducing their dependency on unpredictable crop yields, which is particularly crucial for a place like Goa, where traditional farming practices facing a couple of challenges from urbanization and climate change. So, the policy could also promote sustainable agricultural practices and foster rural development by encouraging tourism ventures in less explored areas. But I'm pretty sure even there are a lot of challenges when it comes to something like this. So maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that, Maya.
Yes, definitely. It's really important when sort of analyzing a policy like this not to get swept away because there are definitely some challenges. It's certainly a sort of Herculean task. So, infrastructure remains a major hurdle. Many of these farm locations lack proper roads, sanitation, and accommodations. So, for Goa, improving rural infrastructure will be crucial for the success of agri-tourism. Without adequate facilities, it'll be really hard to attract tourists and sort of give them an insight into rural life and really make this model successful. So then there's also the question of marketing. Farmers may not necessarily have the resources or the know-how to attract tourists, even if they do have the infrastructure. So effective branding and outreach will definitely be essential for the success of Goa's agritourism policy.
I think that's where the government support really comes into play because as of now, what we know about the policy is quite minimal. But these policies, especially in their implementation strategies, need to include provisions for capacity building, financial assistance, and marketing support. This is something that we can learn from Maharashtra because they have done a really good job with their agri-tourism policy. So Maharashtra's agri-tourism policy, which largely falls under the gambit of their tourism policy, encourages individuals, agricultural cooperatives, and institutions like agricultural colleges or universities to establish these things called agri-tourism centers. So these centers essentially offer tourists an opportunity to stay in rural areas, experience agriculture firsthand, and learn about farming practices. So the government provides several forms of support, including a registration certificate from the tourism department, access to bank loans based on this certification, and even incentives such as GST benefits, reduced electricity charges, and government schemes for infrastructure development like greenhouses and orchards. So, additionally, operators can access training in hospitality, marketing, and best agricultural practices. So, the policy also includes financial assistance for water conservation projects and facilities like gas connections for home kitchens. So, I think this kind of highlights the fact that government support is really essential, especially in terms of publicity and marketing of agri-tourism ventures through various channels, be it online platforms or national and international events. So I think the onus really is on the government right now to see how they will choose to implement this policy.
Right, right. Thank you so much for giving us that little insight into maybe the steps and approaches, and maybe even the attitude that the government has to take with regards to really implementing a policy like this on the ground. How Goa will choose to implement the agri-tourism ventures is something that we'll have to really wait to see, but it can be easily identified even now beforehand that execution is going to be key. Providing incentives to farmers is one thing, but ensuring long term sustainability requires continuous investment and community engagement to make sure that the benefits of this policy don't sort of trail away.
No, that's a really important point because so far we've seen what different cities in India have been doing, how they've been implementing it. And we already kind of are able to gauge what the good things are and what things that they're facing difficulties with. Now, I think we can look at a global perspective to see maybe what other countries are doing outside. And for a state like Goa, which is really new to implement this policy, maybe they can adopt some things. Because when I think of agri-tourism outside India, I can only think of Thailand, which offers an excellent case study. So the country has integrated agri-tourism into its rural economy, especially in provinces like Rayong and Samut Songkhram. So Goa could take inspiration from Thailand's approach to supporting agri-tourism entrepreneurs through financial incentives, training programs, and strategic marketing.
Right. And what's interesting about Thailand's approach is the level of government intervention. These policies were specifically designed to support agri-tourism entrepreneurs, and Goa could definitely benefit from a similar targeted support to ensure that agri-tourism remains sustainable and beneficial for farmers in the long term.
Exactly. What we could learn from Thailand is the fact that, owing to its very nature, even the very vocabulary of it, agricultural tourism kind of has things that are dependent on two departments, essentially, agricultural department and tourism department. So I think going ahead, it'll be really interesting to see how both these departments kind of bridge the gap to ensure that this serves the purpose for both of them. And honestly, the bigger question at the point is, can this work in Goa? Because given something like a state of Goa, which we know is really prominent for their tourism, will something like an agricultural tourism even work in Goa? I'm guessing the answer depends on multiple factors, because on the plus side, they already have a strong tourism infrastructure and they already have agricultural diversity. As mentioned before, they have their coconut plantations, their spice farms, their paddy fields. So there's already a great foundation for agri-tourism ventures. By integrating this into the tourism sectors, Goa could offer a comprehensive nature-oriented experience to tourists. So I think it's important to understand that this is something that can really work out for Goa if done in the right way.
I definitely agree, and it's really nice to sort of hear this hopeful prediction, I'd say. Goa's reputation as a tourist friendly state gives it a huge advantage as compared to many of the other states in India, because tourists already come and flock to these beaches. So, agri-tourism could provide an additional attraction, especially for those seeking offbeat experiences. And I think we can kind of see this emerging more and more. So, it's about shifting perceptions and positioning Goa as a holistic travel destination, one where visitors can explore nature, culture, and agriculture all in one trip.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because to kind of wrap up everything that we've discussed, so the new agricultural policy seems to have so much potential to reshape its rural economy. Because at the end of the day, agricultural tourism isn't just about like supplementing farmers' income, it's also about preserving culture, educating tourists, and fostering sustainable rural development. That's where the larger goal is, sustaining rural development. So, with the right infrastructure, with the right incentives, and with the right kind of community engagement, because activities like this really require a lot from the community. I think with the right mix of all three, Goa could become a model for how agri-tourism can work in harmony with the state's broader tourism goals. I think what's more interesting in undertaking something like this in a state like Goa is that it's already so much more ahead in terms of tourism as opposed to other states, let's say like Maharashtra or Andhra Pradesh, which are already undertaking this. So, in a way, Goa already has an edge in terms of its tourism. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how they go ahead with this.
Right, absolutely. But it's important to remember and caveat that for it to succeed, policymakers must address infrastructure challenges, provide long term financial support, and really put their money and investment and time and concentration into marketing strategies. So, learning from other states in India, as well as global examples like we've discussed, like Thailand, will be key for Goa to maximize the potential of agri-tourism going forward.
Completely agree with you, Maya. But yeah, it's been a wonderful discussion. Thank you so much for today's episode. I hope you were able to learn a little bit about agricultural tourism the way me and Maya did. Thank you.
If you liked our show, dive into Takshashila's research on technology, strategy, and economic affairs. Check us out at our Twitter handle at TakshashilaINST or our website takshashila.org.in.